All right, man, we are back. It's time for the countdown, man. So we have 5 things we're gonna do here, 5 apiece, and this is we're counting down. I don't want to say top. I'm gonna say we're counting down
just big announcements that impacted us.
Announcements in cinema and film, same thing. So we didn't go with top because there's always something bigger. But
well, also because like it would be very hard for us in this instance to really explore the entire scope of announcements in cinema history, because I mean we would go back to like when stuff like they were going to say going from silent to talkies. That would probably be like one of the biggest announcements.
Might have been a big announcement, but it might not have been a big announcement. I'll say this because
you know what I mean, like
might not have gave a shit. Well,
it impacted a lot of fucking people.
It did. But how big was the announcement? Because media only went so far, And
then going from black and white to color. I mean, like those are things that that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, I'm not going to be talking about that kind of stuff. We're talking about stuff probably within the last 10 years or so.
Yeah. So let's get it on. So, ma'am, I think should I go first? I think I'll go first.
Yes, I think you should go first.
All right, my number 5 is this. It's kind of a cheat. Star Wars movies that didn't happen. Like we kind of touched them on the last.
Oh, you're saying like overall, all of the Star Wars movies,
dude. They were, like I said, they had the Game of Thrones dude. They was doing some. Don't ever forget our boy Josh Trank was supposed to be doing a movie.
Oh my God! See, so before we started doing these lists, Montego was like, "You'll be fine," and I literally forget things that I was like, "Holy shit!" Josh Trank, you're right. He was supposed to make a movie.
What is he, a doorman or something right now, or something? That dude.
Oh Lord,
he had all the money in the world and stuff, and blew it on cocaine and parties. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, what was that movie that we watched? What he's the most famous movie? I'm having a brain fart.
Didn't he do Godzilla? Didn't he do one of those?
He did the movie where Dane DeHaan is a superhero, and they're bad superheroes. Chronicle, is that what it's called?
Did he do Chronicle? I've never seen Chronicle. Yeah. Yeah.
Well. Are you sure about that?
They had the shaky camera, and I was like,
you're not a big shaky camera fan. That's true.
No. So, and then I thought about Patty Jenkins' Rogue One, that came and gone. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Johnson's all 3 of his Star Wars movies gone. And so it was like
even in that announcement that you sent for when you that listed them, one of them was they were like, well, Ryan Johnson's still helping.
Yeah, he like, no, dude.
Actually, I bet he'll be back in.
I hope not, because I don't think the man understood Star Wars, man. You did your own thing and wanted to do your movie. Nobody gives a fuck about your movie. People want Star Wars. They want Star Wars. They don't want your goddamn movie. You took the best hero that most of us have ever seen in our lives and turned him into a little simping, whimpering punk, talking about, the Jedi needs to die. That was Luke goddamn Skywalker. And you took every sacrifice he did in every movie and turned it on his head and said, no, Rey is now the hero. Come on, man. Damn. She was supposed to be the next hero, not the overall. Anyway, so
yeah, you can do an overlapping thing, and I don't necessarily agree that if you're working within the Star Wars universe, you wouldn't want to present something that's your own vision, because I think that's
good.
Fine. But I also see what you're saying, because it is weird to destroy the idea of a hero, but we didn't get to see where he was going. So
what the hell are you? And I'm glad we won't ever see it. So,
coming in hard.
That's number 5. It was that stream of movies. I mean, on this show years ago, that was half the show. They're gonna do this. We like, never happened.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually, I think, probably for a lot of people, a big deal, just generally speaking, because I feel like they all have their own, that they were like hoping, and that sometimes that gets canceled. So my number 5 was the announcement of the new Predator movie, that they were like, okay, we're going to have it be the girl.
Oh.
And the reason I say that was a big deal is because I think people were kind of like against it a little bit. And also because there have been many Predator movies.
So too many.
Some of them not so good, and some of them sneakily good. Like, I think Predators is good.
Predators is dope. And anybody
I love Predators.
Who disagree, I'll fight you for that. That movie was dope. Predator was dope. Predator is the dopest. And
I love the original Predator is so good. And I think that maybe that's What?
So goddamn good. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. I think that probably part of people's problem with as with all movies that are like franchises, but maybe not as big as like the Star Wars franchise, it's like hard to approach that. But like, you always, even if you like other Predator movies, you will always remember Predator as the
pinnacle.
Yeah, so you're like, okay, so you're always holding it against that and always thinking, is this going to be as good as? And I think this one was really cool because they were like, this is something completely different.
It was so good, Tiff.
And it was good. And I think people were blown away by it, not only because if it had stood alone on its own, like if no other Predator movies had existed and that was the first one, people I think would still like it. But I think it was also that magical moment where people were like, actually, I was wrong. It's quite good.
It was a COVID movie too. You know, they filmed it the whole movie twice. They did it in English and then they did it in Navajo. You know, so you can see it in both. It's just a dope thing. And you got so many piece of shit haters about that movie. And it's just like, did you see the last movie with the big dumb predator walking around with
that one was bad?
Oh my god, dude, what the hell are y'all talking about? You know, that movie was dope. Y'all can kiss my ass and I'll fight you for it. That's my
And the one before that, which one was that? Was it Predator?
It was Predator.
Something.
It was Predator. The Predator.
Yeah. The Predator. And I remember because you and I, because we are Predator fans, we're like, oh my god, I think I'm gonna, because we watched a trailer and we're like, it doesn't look bad, and even we discussed it.
Fantastic cast. Fantastic.
Great cast. Good premise. Yes. Like, we love a buddy kind of like buddy horror, buddy cop, buddy whatever, because you like your dichotomy of people. You got your cast of characters, which is actually why Predators is also quite good. But that movie, The Predator, I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
But this one, the new Predator, good.
Yeah, it blew it away. I just remember so many little punks walking around like, so all those, it took Arnold Schwarzenegger a whole hour to kill him, but she nails him in, dude. Yes, she nails them because you missed the whole concept. She's a studier. All she did was she wasn't allowed to fight. She would study her prey, and then she knew what the weakness was. And for you to miss
she's the predator,
right?
I mean, like, it's very cool. It's so, I mean, like, the thing about it is that I love an announcement that people shit on and then are like, oh, gotta take that back.
Yeah. But unfortunately, because of my bullshit and my racism and sexism, I don't really even want to admit that it's good. You know, go to hell, punks. I got fired today. You know, I don't like.
You're coming in hot. You're being a real Tiffany today.
I can't stand shitty fanboys, man. I mean,
well, I would. The thing about being a fan of anything is that you have to approach it with be a little bit open-minded.
Not yours.
Even
you don't own it.
It says you don't own it, but also because you'll limit yourself in your enjoyment of your own favorite thing if you keep doing that.
Of course.
So
I like that, Tiff. I like that.
Yeah.
So my number 4 was it was the original one.
Why are you laughing? I'm sorry.
It was the original announcement that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was. I thought it was like 8 years ago. I've been joking on the show for years and years about this shit. It actually was 15 years ago.
You're kidding.
And the movie just came out, and it was like, cue the music, please. Boom, boom, boom. Look, the most uninteresting thing in the movie. I think me and you both was like, look, that Justice League, them Justice characters, that's what we want to see, the Hawkman,
yes,
and all that.
Yes,
they were good. This dude walking around like, oh man, like he had to take a shit, just pissed about everything. You know, it was like nobody cared. It was a flop. It got canceled. I like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, his work. I mean, I don't know him as a person, but
yeah, of course,
15 years.
You don't?
No, I don't. You know, I know. I should know. I'm like, I'm part of the family somewhere.
I came right back from his house to record this episode, and I don't want to tell him to his face, but boy, Black Hat sucks.
So I'm just saying, that announcement all those years ago, and all
that's crazy.
The fan fiction, putting his body on it with the character and all that. They did that. That was way back in Man of Steel.
That's wild to me to think that it was that long, because I've always known you to be talking about it because it was a big deal. And the thing about it is that we did talk about how bad it was, and he is a charming person and all the other kind of roles that he's been in. And you're like, okay, how can this go wrong? Well, you saw it, and it did.
Yeah, it did. Took him out of the movie and that shitty bad guy, and just had to be about the Justice Society. Had a fun movie. I would be right there. Yeah, exactly.
So what's your So my number 4 is smaller than that.
Okay. Oh.
I was really excited when Ilya Naishuller, that's the guy who made Hardcore Henry.
Okay. Yeah.
They announced that Nobody was coming out.
Oh.
That was also a pandemic movie released during the pandemic. Yeah. I think, in my personal opinion, that Hardcore Henry is better than that movie. I really do.
I would never try to dissuade you from Hardcore. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wasn't a fan of the show back when that movie came out, this young lady actually went to the theater and threw up in the middle of the movie, cleared her mouth, ran back to the theater and finished the goddamn movie, and still loves it to this day. Now that's a goddamn.
I will say it's because I have really bad motion sickness, very bad.
Well, it got me a couple times. I was like, whoa. But I have never seen a movie at home. I said, I need to watch this at home one day.
When you watch it at home, it's easier because the screen fits in your whole view, so it's not as bad. But when I first saw it, I also am always kind of queasy anyway, so like then put the motion sickness together, it was bad. But I loved the movie and I had such a good time, and I think I was shocked by how much I loved it. And that always, I feel, has a deep impression on a person. But when I saw that he was going to get this movie that a lot of people ended up liking, I was really excited because I was like, oh, this person that I think makes good film.
We did the movie on the show, and I don't even remember that it was by the same person. We might have talked about it, but I don't remember that. I didn't know that, so I'm impressed.
Yeah. So like, I think it was just nice to see somebody that I liked get more recognition for something that I also thought was good. I was like, okay, then maybe more people will see Hardcore Henry, which, regardless of how maybe you feel about it, I know that it's not a lot of people's favorite. It was still an interesting concept. It was fun.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm always more willing to be forgiving or even interested in a movie that took risk.
Yeah.
Than something that was like, oh, here's by rote some stuff that we've done.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was exciting to me.
Very interesting. Very interesting choice there. My number 3 here. Now, a lot of people might not remember this because this was a big announcement, but it's like kind of like before pre-Big Con and shit. So they announced that Daniel Craig was going to take over as James Bond, and it was like this big goddamn deal because he was a blonde-haired. Like,
oh my God, I remember that.
Blonde hair. And like, I remember they did this big announcement. They brought him out. He was on the back of some jet skis, but he wasn't on the jet skis. He was like some actor. Look like he's seasick out there with these Royal Navy SEALs and shit. And they brought him out on the boat. He had on like this life preserver. He had these big ass shades. He didn't look cool at all. His hair was kind of long. And like, they did this big announcement. However, even when they announced, it still was like a year maybe since or two that the movie came out. Cause casting James Bond was always a big deal. And then the movie Casino Royale came out and everybody shut the F up because it was like, oh shit, this is James Bond. God damn. And he, had 4 movies since then, maybe 5, something like 4, I think. And
you can't ask me that. I have no doubt.
And they were great. They were great movies and, great James Bond movies. But that announcement, I'd never forget it. All the shit that went down, blonde hair, the Royal Navy out there.
I remember how big that was. I remember because like I had never really I think at that point I had not seen a James Bond movie. So people were like, oh yeah, they were really mad that he was blonde.
They was pissed, man.
And I remember thinking, oh, are they going to dye his I thought, are they going to dye his hair? I remember thinking that like as a legitimate, like just in my everyday life, just, making eggs or like,
it was so bad that I wish we could go back in time and put Idris Elba right there and then have it be a black man being announced instead of a blonde haired man. And could you imagine the fallout back there?
He'd been considered so many times, I felt. Like, I think around that time he was being considered, and then he was considered again.
Who, Idris Elba? I don't think he was.
Yeah.
Not when Daniel Craig. That happened after.
So that's been recently.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, like,
he's too old.
People just can't handle themselves.
No.
I just
no.
like
cracking.
You mean he's gonna?
If it's cracking, it's just like, and if it's cracking,
because like
you need to get some old world in your life. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't mean to talk over you. I'm so sorry. But so correct me if I'm wrong. James Bond. I thought so. 007 is a code name.
They just kind of did that shit recently with the last movie. It is a code name, but then they had the black lady being 007, not James Bond. And so that was like kind of a thing. But then they kind of made that 007 as just more of a number. And I get it. you know.
That makes sense because you would, yeah. Well, blonde, Jesus.
Well, you know,
anyway.
black woman being a 007, so
Yes.
So who knows where to go?
But James Bond is not a.
No, that's him.
Code name. That's his name, and then he's obviously. I mean, come on, people. He's not real. The boogeyman isn't real. So my number three is another one, sort of like my nobody announcement, which is, you remember how excited I was for Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes.
Because I love the Daniels' first movie together, which is Swiss Army Man.
Oh, yeah.
It is not a movie for everyone. I don't even always like to tell people, like if I'm at work and someone would be like, would you recommend this movie? I would be like,
nah.
I don't want to say, because if they saw that and then you thought of you liking that, then they would realize that you were a weird pervert or something. I mean, like, it's a very strange movie, and I think like the Daniels had said that they wanted to make a movie about a farting corpse that would make you cry. Is what they wanted to do. And they did. I cried during that movie. It's very emotional. It's very good. So when Everything Everywhere All at Once was coming out, I was like, what other strange things will these men do that will make me weep? That's what I remember thinking.
Yeah.
And they did. They did some weird stuff that made me cry.
Yeah, great movie. I could have did without the dildo fights, but
Nope, that's gotta stay. It's gotta be in there. My God. I mean, I died. Okay. 3, cross off.
There you go. So my number 2, this was a biggie, Jack. At the time of big announcements, it was a biggie. They announced that they were going to do a new Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. And everybody went ape crazy. Couldn't wait for it to come out, man.
My God.
And when it came out, damn. It lived up to nobody's hype. But it was one of those, indeed. And I remember, like, he kind of old. And it was like, we bringing Marion back and all this shit. And it was like, kind of old to be swinging from a tree. And lo and behold, he was old Indy in that movie, and it just didn't work. The time had passed. They were in the 50s, and that movie was heavy 30s, 40s, World War II pre-era and era. And so it just, being in another time in the 50s, it just felt like time had passed you by. It just sucked. And then they put the aliens in there.
The alien.
Look at here.
That's what aliens sound like to Montego. That's really great. I remember this movie coming out. Yep. This was long before we even knew each other, actually.
I don't think
I was. Yeah, I was, because I was working at Gamers when this movie came out.
All right.
And I remember that because I had gone to see it because I love Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
We went to see it like the night, I think like maybe the day after it had come out. So like really, quickly.
Super fresh.
And then I went to work the next day at Gamers, and my boss at the time loved Indiana Jones 2, and he was like, I'm excited to see this movie. Mm-hmm. And a guy had come into the store, and if you've ever worked in like a comic shop, a book shop,
I've not, but I've spent many times,
or a video game store,
a lot of times.
Yeah. There are people who just come in regularly, and they will just talk, and they will not stop talking. They will not leave.
They're always there. Just, you know who you are.
Yep.
Or you may not know who you are.
And I don't hate that, but when you're working, it's really hard. But so this guy had come in and was like, have you guys seen the new Indiana Jones movie?
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything because that's just, you don't know what's going to set someone off. So I'm just like, huh. And then he just starts telling us the plot. And AJ, my boss, was like, please, I haven't seen it. So talk about it, but just don't say anything. And the guy just spoiled the whole thing.
Really?
And this is such a funny memory to me that even though AJ and I don't really speak anymore because it's been years and years, we're still friends on like Instagram or Facebook or something like that. I messaged him and was like, I was thinking about this the other day. Do you remember when that Crystal Skull thing happened? He never saw the movie. It ruined it so bad. Yeah, he was like, I just never saw it. And I was like, well, you're probably better off. I think it's what I said.
What's the best word? Just unaware dumbass, to be
unaware. Yeah, I would say it's an unaware thing.
Why would you do that? Oh my God. Anyway, that's my number 2. That was a biggie, Jack. That was a biggie.
All right.
Let's go.
I've got one
Yes.
for you because I remember this very well.
Oh, shit.
When they announced there was going to be the Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Like when they were going to go back and make the Anakin Skywalker stories and how everyone was so excited.
Yes.
Because that was like the intent from the beginning, hence them being episodes 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, shit. This is the story.
4, 5, and 6, excuse me. Because like this is the beginning.
Or
Those
did
are the
we?
ones that, or did we?
Did we convince ourselves this is the story?
We're retconning ourselves. Very popular in the Star Wars universe. And just like, and even like, I think it was such an impactful announcement and such an impactful moment for so many people because of how it spans generations.
Yeah.
That people weren't even able to see that it wasn't a very good movie until years later.
Even when the trailer came out, you were like, tears in your eyes, like, the tears was like, no, but she was like, yes. Oh, shit sucks. Oh, shit.
So I think that's probably one of the most memorable announcements of what I would consider my lifetime.
That's pre-internet, Tiff. I mean, like,
yeah, big hype stuff where you'd go and people went to the movie that trailer was released in.
I saw that shitty helicopter
Not
movie.
for the movie.
I saw the shitty helicopter movie with Freddie Prinze Jr.
Just to see the trailer.
I did. And not only that, like the internet was fresh, right? And like I had like now, I had like a dope computer, I had a Sony Vaio, which was like high end at the time, right? And I remember downloading that trailer to watch, like, and it was like it took like half a day for like a 3-minute trailer, and like it would only play like half of it, and I kept watching the part I could, and it was like, God damn, what was wrong with us, I just.
I think like that was maybe there's many other things that have happened for many fans.
Yeah.
I feel like probably horror fans especially deal with that kind of like rise and then disappointment because there's the original property and then the subsequent releases that sometimes hype us and then sometimes destroy us. But the Star Wars episode, I remember just, even though I wasn't I wouldn't say I was like a Star Wars fan, like, because I would say that those people are like super into it. Like you're a Star Wars fan, and it was just everywhere. You couldn't escape it. People were just buzzing about it.
They had Pepsi cans. they had you buying Pepsi cans. They had you buying all kind of shit all over the place, like getting hyped for that movie.
So yeah,
all right,
one of the big ones.
So my number one is the announcement that blew everybody out the water. After that shitty announcement, it's back to Star Wars. It was an announcement of the original Star Wars cast coming back for The Force Awakens. And the world lost their goddamn mind, including myself. It was like, I half-ass lost my mind because I was like, Luke, Leia, Han. But then I was like, old. And I was like, what are they going to do? So I'm like, this movie can't be about them. Please don't. I said, well, maybe Luke, because, Jedis get doper the older they get.
Yeah.
But, Leia, was she going to be running the galaxy or something? So I figured it'd be about other people. Was so hyped to go see that movie. Saw the movie, was cool. The problem is, like, over time, the trajectory where the movie actually, landed after it was shot just turned out to be a pile of shit. It's just like, I don't care nothing. I know I'm stepping on a lot of toes, but like the last movie, The Rise of Skywalker, the second movie, just where it landed, mm-hmm. it was a bunch of hype for a bunch of nothing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of people don't even like the prequel series, which was a trip because they did everything right with the practical effects and things like that.
Sure.
But it's still just like, what the hell happened? It just got written in 17 different directions in that last movie. And I know Mark Ellis Reagan, he loved that damn last Star Wars movie. But, dude, the Emperor, with a stick up his butt, clone.
Here's the thing. I liked the fight with the red... What are those? That
was in the second movie. Yeah, I don't.
That's the second movie.
I don't
okay.
know what their name was. They was
Imperial.
They was Snoke's guards, and they all went
something.
Down.
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool when they fought together. I like it when enemies, friends to enemies. Enemies to friends, or even lovers.
We didn't even know who it was. And then, like, you had the Knights of Ren, and they looked all cool and shit, like on the album cover. They never do shit in this whole thing, man. It was just like, that's just effed up an opportunity. So big announcement.
I also think
terrible.
That speaking of announcements, that I do wonder about, I often have wondered about it, is that these larger properties, or even anything that like gets into the, like Barbie movie, for instance, like anything that gets into the social conscience before it actually really exists, as a thing that you can interact with fully, it becomes difficult because hardly anything is going to meet what you have in your mind or surpass it, because you have your own hopes and dreams as an individual. And I feel like sometimes the hype era that we live in is really bad for art.
I say this though, personally, I've gotten a lot better at accepting shit, because of all that overhyping in the past. And now I literally, no matter how big something is, I'm still just watching it with that discernment of like, don't get excited about this stuff because this goofy ass, probably 25-year-old director is like directing this stuff, and it might not be what you want, what I'm saying, at all, or it may not surprise you at all, so I guess
I want you to tell me a little bit about it, like as a property. Intrigue me, but don't try to tell me what's going to happen in precise detail. Because I want, like you said with the trailer that revealed a couple weeks ago that there was a cameo in the Shazam movie. That like, why would you do that? Why would you ruin the thing that like is going to surprise you? Yeah, I know. So my number one.
Your number one.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
So my number one is, I was a Disney kid.
All right.
Big time.
All right.
So like early 90s.
Okay.
Watching a lot of Disney films.
All right.
And so this is kind of like a general one like you had for your number 5.
Okay.
Which is all the canceled Star Wars movies. Mine was always, Disney made amazing trailers for their animated films that would come out you would usually see the trailer for the next animated film at the movie of the current one. So like you would see like, Aladdin and would have the trailer for The Lion King, or, whatever. And I remember seeing the trailer for The Lion King, and I was a big animals kid. I guess I'm still a big animals kid. So I was like, holy shit, someone's making a movie for me. I think I kind of remember thinking that.
Interesting.
Because like I loved big cats and I loved Disney animation. I just remember getting so excited, you guys. And I went to this movie. I went to The Lion King. I saw it at a theater that I actually live near now that's been closed for a while. I had one huge screen. And I went back and I took my friends with me. And I was so excited to see The Lion King. This was when it had come out. That I wouldn't stop telling my friends what was going to happen next.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was a little kid. I was a child. Very annoying. Like looking back on that, I have a lot of shame. But I want to say that during that time of those Disney announcements, those were like big deals.
Yeah. I can see that. I was a grown dude at that time, but I can see that. They did used to that. I tell you, it was a big announcement that ended up going poof. I remember Pocahontas. He was like, oh, Pocahontas. And then you watch that movie, he was like, this sucks. This is bullshit. We got Mel Gibson. We got, it was like.
Oh, you're right. Mel Gibson is in that movie.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I forget that. I still like Pocahontas. I was a kid when it came out, so it's got problems.
Yeah, maybe super problems. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, but here's the thing: all of the Disney movies, you're like, oh, actually, oh no, is what you think as an adult, probably.
Yeah, and then we get upset when somebody black is cast in the role. Come on.
We have a problem.
Come on, man. Anyway, man,
it's fake.
Yeah,
it's all fake.
So that's the list, man. I enjoyed this stuff, man. So we're gonna take our final break, and we'll be right back.